Going up? Welcome to the Pop Tower Podcast with your host, the man behind the myth, Peter Dawson, and the Soulful Lordy, James Bullock.
Yes, I am indeed Peter Dawson, and joining me is indeed
James Bullock.
And we are here for episode 44 of the Pop Tower. How's it going today, James?
Oh man, I feel like I have so many doors that are open that need to be closed and have to be locked.
Yeah, you gotta get that stuff on lockdown, otherwise, next thing you know, you just run into kids with weird names.
That's true, but the question is, do these kids have great imaginations?
I think they're dupes. Yeah.
Man, they are certainly mad, that's for sure.
Yeah. Alright, that's enough teasing. We got 3 topics to dive in today, because we're here to talk about video games and movies. No TV, but we got 2 movies to talk about, as well as a video game. And as we so cleverly foreshadowed, we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts 3.
No, Kingdom Hearts 2.9.
My bad. Yeah, that is a thing. Still, I will never get over this. Like, what is the official list of Kingdom Hearts games? Do we have it?
Yeah, I believe it's like this is the 10th game that's officially like in the chronological order. It's not. It's the 10th game.
Okay, according to Wikipedia, here's what we got. In the console games, there's Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, there's also in the handheld game section, there's Chain of Memories, Coded, 358.5 days. I hate that one.
No, it's over 2, actually. It's not even a half, it's over 2.
Yeah. And then Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, and apparently there's Kingdom Hearts X, which I guess is something new, because that looks new.
I think was that a mobile?
It's a browser game.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we get the HD collections, because we get the 1.5 remix, the 2.5 remix, and the 2.8 final chapter prologue.
Yes, and then the story so far, which was everything together.
What kills me, too, is, like, the spin-off materials where you meet 3 important characters that don't appear in 1 or 2.
Right.
Because that's where Terra, Ventus, and Aqua all come from.
Yes.
And I'm still.
And then they even give more backstory to Roxas and everybody in the other in the spin-off games.
I know Roxas is surprisingly popular with a large chunk of the fan base, but did he need more backstory?
I know.
Let's get sorry, we're already ranting about this game because, look, okay, one of the most annoying things about Kingdom Hearts is the convoluted nature of the story. I've seen compilation videos trying to explain the story that are still 30 minutes long.
Oh yeah, the video that I watched before was 50.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because some of these games are really hard to get in their handheld forms. Like, there's not necessarily good compilations for these. Now, Kingdom Hearts 3, they had a formal video, right? I'm not imagining that.
Yeah. No, it's in the menu screen where you can watch the 20-minute video.
Yeah.
That showcases all the major moments. That still isn't enough.
I know. Because, like I said, the first one just follows Sora and Riku as they try to find Kari. Primarily Sora, who teams up with Donald Duck.
Yeah, because Riku goes dark.
Yeah. He chose the dark side.
Yes.
And then, 2 comes in.
I gotta interrupt you real quick, which is hilarious, is the fact that there are Star Wars references in connection to this game before Disney had any association with Star Wars.
Oh, such a light and dark side thing way before this. I mean,
right.
And yeah. So for a reminder, the Kingdom Hearts 2, was it the final mix, which wasn't the final mix, by the way, came out in 2006.
Right.
So this game wasn't even announced until 2013. So it's pretty exhausting. And apparently they still have the rights to the characters, because Dream Drop Distance came out when? 2012.
Yeah, I was about to say that was 12. Yeah.
So it's not like they didn't have the chance to make more games. Mm-hmm. So I really want to know, like, I just want to peer inside people's heads. But we can't talk about this all day. Let's actually talk about the game itself. So, the main thing that happens in this game is that Sora, our protagonist from the previous games, is teaming up with Donald Duck.
Previously numbered games.
Yes. Is teaming up with...
Because we've had Riku, and Chain of Memories was Riku's game.
I thought Chain of Memories was still Sora.
Oh, no, I mean, you know what? You're right, yeah, still Sora. I can't remember which one was Riku. It was like Riku's game.
I just know 358 over 2 days was Aqua.
Right.
That's the only one I can say with confidence. I know Dream Drop Distance had Sora in it as a major thing, because Dream Drop Distance was the last one chronologically before this one, and explains why Sora is doing what he's doing in this one, which is still nonsense.
oh yeah. We could just cut to the chase on that one. The story is complete nonsense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like it
was absurd before, but now it's just gotten ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean it was already like really silly, with just when you're dealing with the princesses of Heart and the World Heart, and people saying darkness every other sentence. Like they need a thesaurus. They really need a. Now, unless you think we hate the plot, that's not entirely true, because the cutscenes in this game are beautiful as hell, and the genuine camaraderie felt between the characters is very real. It's a very good character piece. The world building just sucks.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It was one of those things kind of like going back and forth in my head was the fact that, do I not like this game as much as the previous two because of the worlds? Or is it because of me? Because I'm not necessarily emotionally attached to a lot of the worlds in this game.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like in 1 and 2, a majority of the worlds that they showcased were ones that I grew up watching. Well, this one, you know, a majority of them were just stuff I've seen in passing or just with family. Like, I don't have an emotional connection to them, like outside of Toy Story.
Yeah, like there's Toy Story, Frozen, Enchanted. In case you're not clear, or not Enchanted, sorry, Tangled.
Yeah.
Enchanted would have been interesting. Yeah, because in case you're not 100% clear on what Kingdom Hearts is, this is a Square-Enix joint with Disney. Square-Enix makes it, and then they use Disney characters as part of the universe that the characters explore. So, yeah, like I said, he teams up with Donald Duck and Goofy, Mickey Mouse, specifically King Mickey in this universe.
King Mickey.
Yep. And then,
put some respect on that name.
Yep, and then Riku also is a pretty major character in this one.
Yeah.
Although a lot of other characters end up becoming important later on. None of them Kairi.
No, she's just sitting there writing letters to no one.
We'll get to that.
She's never gonna mail.
We'll get to that.
Letters she never mails.
Because I'm going up and down on the story here, but so the camaraderie between that is all good, and they do a smart thing because they open with Olympus, the Hercules world, the Disney Hercules world.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was the opening of the world, and of course that was in the first one actually.
Yep, and it's been one of the most recurringly popular ones, even though in this time I don't think Cloud ever shows up again this time, does he?
No, we're done with Final Fantasy characters.
Which is probably the big bummer. Yeah,
because I mean that was the big hook in the original Kingdom Hearts, was the fact that it was like Disney and Final Fantasy put together like the most fantastical worlds and two different entertainment forms coming together.
Yeah, now it's just everyone's kind of cosplaying slightly as members of Final Fantasy 15, but they're not wearing entirely black, so it's a bad cosplay.
Right.
Shots fired at Final Fantasy 15, and I liked that game.
Yeah, you liked it a lot more than I did.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I liked that was another game where I thought the character interaction in general was pretty good. Like even in this one, like I hinted at, Kairi's such a non-character.
Yeah.
And she's constantly touted as this major important love interest. And
I was going to say she's with three numbered games deep.
She's still more interesting than Luna Freya.
Oh, very much so. Well, I mean, she gets more screen time though.
Yeah, that's part of the reason.
And that's not saying much.
That's really not. But oh man, it's just I'm so exhausted with this. Like, once they started making the spin-off games matter so much, they really lost the plot a bit. And even with all this, they couldn't help but frickin'. It's such a major way not to do a good spin-off if you're gonna constantly have all the spin-off material tie into the main game,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not a spin-off. Like, it's like if, in a comic books, if you do a crossover, like, okay, look at it, let's say Infinite Crisis, which is a story I really like despite some problems. If more of the spin-off material was essential to reading Infinite Crisis, that would not be as good of a story. Because it's requiring you to read stuff outside the compilation. It's like Marvel Civil War. Another example, like I've read the compilation book of that, and it still focuses fairly good on the main plot. But the problem is, Spider-Man makes a decision in that story that is not developed at all in the main book. So you have to read the spin-off to actually get the development, which is pretty lame. And so we're getting this, but in game form, and like those are comic books, which are, you know, ideally like $350, $450, $550, right? These are $60 plus video games.
That you have to wait many, many years to play.
Yeah, and are on multiple platforms. They're not just books. So I mean, like I said, I wouldn't tolerate that in a comic book. I'm not gonna tolerate this. I will appreciate shoutouts to them, but yeah, the plot just feels incomprehensible, especially because this one flat out continues from dream drop distance rather than 2.
Right.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say about the plot? Because I kind of want to move on from the plot.
No. It's not much else to say.
Because I really like the gameplay in this game.
I do and I don't.
Okay.
It's funny because of I just think the fact that we've gotten so far in advance compared to. Okay, this came out on PlayStation 3. If it came out in 2010, I don't think I'd be as upset with some of the lacking fundamentals, including like the terrible targeting. Even now, it's still bad. The camera's still bad.
I didn't actually find the camera that bad, but maybe I'm just like more immune to that at this point.
Maybe. I just thought the camera still is like a little too loose, a little too wild, especially in like close corridor areas.
Okay, but, maybe I'm not thinking of that too much.
Yeah. It's like the Frozen world where you have to like just run through. It's a little cave. It was like really intolerable when it came to the camera.
Okay, that's fair.
And the targeting. The bosses. Good lord, this is disappointing.
Oh yeah?
I hate the bosses. I really do.
What do you hate about them?
A lot of them are too oversized.
Yeah.
They're too oversized. And they really have no connection to the characters or the worlds. Like, they have the slight connection, but it's like, we have a Rapunzel monster that just turns into like a giant tree. Like, I understand it's supposed to be like hair, but it doesn't look like hair. Then we have a giant turtle toy shell monster.
Yeah, these are you're raising a good point. These metaphors were probably too subtle.
Yeah. It just felt so like compared to like the bosses that we've had in previous ones. Like, I mean, the fact that you have Olympus and you don't fight Hades.
It's true. Well,
I know we've had that before, but I mean,
we probably don't want to feature James Woods any more than we have to. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
All right, that's a good point.
I got all my dark jokes out about that in another medium, which I don't care to repeat.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we had like the monsters, we had the bosses, we had the baddies, and they didn't utilize them. Like, they just used gigantic versions of the same ones we're already fighting.
That's you're kind of putting this interesting thing. It's like, we got this game and it doesn't do what the original series was meant to do. It's become too obsessed with telling its own story, and it's not a very good story. And it didn't improve some fundamental gameplay flaws.
Like, when I'm just fighting regular enemies, I love it. I think it is great. But it's like, when you get to like bosses and connections with the world, it just doesn't feel fulfilling like it did in the first two games. The first two numbered games.
Yeah, it's saying something. I don't know what else I can really say. I mean, like, I like the new mechanics they added.
Well, what about the attractions? I do enjoy those.
The attractions are awesome, and like
they're overpowered. They're completely overpowered, but I love doing them.
And I really enjoyed doing stuff like surfing, like, you know, like the team up abilities.
Oh yeah, I love that. I really do. I love the fact that this game, one thing they took away from the second game was the second change, the second phase shifts. Like, yeah, Sora can still do the phase shift, but it's done in more of a subtle way, especially connected to the weapons, that I really do enjoy a lot more this time than I did in Kingdom Hearts 2. It was like just ridiculous in 2.
No, fair enough. I'm just quickly looking over all the stuff that Nomura did. Man, that's a whole other story.
Oh yeah.
They gotta give him a break. He needs more stuff to do. Anyway, yeah, I would say it's a fun game, but it's got a lot of problems that can make it very disappointing for fans of the franchise, I'd say.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, this is another one that it feels like a good game, but it's not a great end of a trilogy.
Yeah, and I don't think you haven't been there yet, right?
No, I'm close to it, but it's just so much has come out.
I gotta be honest, I was underwhelmed.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, but I was like, that's not terribly satisfying.
It's really weird. Like, this is one of those, I was actually kind of like clearing my calendar when it came to games and thinking that I'm going to be obsessed with this. And I'm not. Which is really weird considering how crazed I was for the first one in Kingdom Hearts 2. And even, I know I played Jaded Memories because I had it on my Game Boy Advance. And just, like, blasted through that. Like, there was something magical about the first two, or the PS2, that this one is definitely lacking.
It's like going to watch Sin City 2 15 years after watching the original. Sorry, that was 10 years. Man, this has been even longer. Man, they really dropped the ball on this the more I think about it.
Yeah. And I will say, I know you do like Final Fantasy 15 more than I did, but I will say I've enjoyed this a lot more than I've enjoyed Final Fantasy 15. I haven't even finished it yet, so.
Yeah, I would say this is more enjoyable just because the team-up attacks and stuff are better.
Yeah.
It's nothing else.
I just think, like, just the throwbacks of certain characters, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just, yeah.
And there's better variety in the worlds.
Very much so, yeah.
So, I mean, like, you know, we've been really kind of cynical on this. I think it's just because it's like, you know, we waited 13 years for this.
I know.
Which is a shame.
And I know everybody wants to make the argument, oh, they had so many other spin-offs and other games, and it's your fault. No,
it's their fault. They shouldn't have done that.
Don't
you
tease
shouldn't have
me
done
with
that.
Don't tease me with these secret endings and make me wait so long.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done that. He's just a boy.
Just a boy.
So let's talk about something. So Kingdom Hearts 3, I didn't really like, but it's made a decent amount of money because it sold over 5 million copies.
Okay.
So it's pretty successful. I want to talk about something that I'm sad. I don't think it's gonna. It's pretty much out of theaters now already, which is a shame because it's a very good movie in my opinion. The Kid Who Would Be King. Now, this one kind of snuck up on me because I was not familiar with this. Apparently, it's like based on something, but I don't know what. Because it's like I keep looking and I keep hearing it's based on a book or something, but it's not even listed on, like, say Wikipedia, for example.
Right.
Where it would say based on these books. So I guess it's just kind of a. It was the brainchild of.
I think it's a retelling. That's all.
Yeah, it probably was. It was probably the brainchild of Joe Cornish, who was the writer-director. And Joe Cornish, for those who aren't familiar, which I would understand because he hasn't done that much ultimately, but he's known for being a collaborator with Edgar Wright. Right. First of all, because he helped do the script for Ant-Man as well as the script for Adventures of Tintin.
Yes. And
he was even in Hot Fuzz. And then he also
that's right.
Yeah, and he also directed Attack the Block.
Yes.
Which is a pretty good movie.
Very much so.
And yeah, that's really about it though. Because he also did one of the Edgar Wright script for Ant-Man, but a lot of that didn't survive. So, you know, be that as it may. So, The Kid Who Would Be King, as the title would suggest for those familiar with The Once and Future King, classic book, is about a sort of modern-day continuation of King Arthur. In this case, it follows a little kid, 12-year-old kid named Alex.
Yes.
And his best friend Betters.
Yeah, I heard that. I just kept saying Butters.
I know, right? Well, because it's supposed to be Bedivere. Because they're all named after knights, right? Because Alex is Arthur, Bitters is Bedivere, and then, of course, two of the more obvious ones, Lance and Kay.
Yeah.
I wonder who Lance is named after. And I wonder who Kay is named after. Oh, just Kay? Okay. Is it now Kay's a woman? Well, girl, because she's 12. Or is she supposed to be older?
I think she's supposed to be a little older.
Yeah. But the main thing is, like, these are the four protagonists. You get Alex, who's a kid who's just moved to town. Or, no, he didn't just move to town. He's just...
He's just being picked on.
Right, yeah, he's just picked on. I'm so used to the kid also being the new kid in town that I said that without thinking.
Well, just to cut to the chase with this real quick, is the fact that this does feel like an 80s movie.
Oh, absolutely.
It feels like an 80s movie, so I completely understand you thinking, like, this is a new kid in town.
Yeah, because it's kind of like Monster Squad or Goonies, although I much prefer Goonies to Monster Squad, don't know about you.
Right.
But, like, it feels kind of like what someone would make if they watched those movies and were like, I want to make this in modern day, but I want to use it to tell a story about King Arthur.
Right.
And I want the final act for stuff to get just real. Because it gets intense in the final act. But I want to quickly go over the rest. So the whole thing is, Alex ends up discovering Excalibur, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I got a sword, hey, hey, hey," and it turns out, oh yeah,
no, at a construction site, no less.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
I love that.
I know, of all the places, right?
Everybody's working around this sword and a stone in a construction site. They're just working around and like, nah, let's just leave that be.
Yeah.
That was going to be the piece that was just also the building they were working on.
Problem is, as this is going on, Morgana, aka Morgan Le Fay, suddenly wakes up, played by the always awesome Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
Because most of the cast is relatively unknown.
Yeah, it's like a couple of big names, and the rest is just people you would never have thought of being in a movie like this.
Well, the lead is Andy Serkis' son.
Right.
Which you can tell because it's a circus. I'm like, well, that's probably who that is. But it's mostly relatively unknown. It's like, I didn't know who a lot of these people were before. But I mean, Rebecca Ferguson, and somebody else we'll get to in a moment, because he's legit one of my favorite parts of the movie. Not just because there's actually two actors involved in this next one. They both do a really good job.
Very much so.
Which is saying something when I say who one of them is. So if you don't know, besides Morgan Le Fay showing up, Merlin shows up.
Yes.
Who apparently can... Yeah, who apparently can Benjamin Button. He's like, didn't he say he ages backwards or something?
He ages backwards, yes.
Yeah, so he's like this gawky teenager. I don't remember who plays him.
I mean, we're now in the modern day, so of course he's aged to teenage years like that.
Yeah, Angus Imrie, that's the actor's name. Yeah, but he can also turn into his older previous self.
Yes.
And that is frickin' Patrick Stewart. And I'm just like, oh my god, Patrick Stewart is Merlin? Yes.
Who's doing his best Doc impersonation?
He really is, because he looks haggard as heck. And he pulls it off.
He does a great job. It's not even that's not even an insult. Like, he does such a great job.
No, I think the person who does the worst job it's not even her fault. It's Rebecca Ferguson, just because it's like, be campy Morgan Le Fay. And
it's funny because like the same thing they had like the Power Rangers movie with Rita, where it's like, you just got to be so campy, it's ridiculous, it doesn't even fit.
It does feel a little out of place. She's still like thankfully Rebecca Ferguson's good at making her campiness interesting, much like I can't even think of her name. Who played Rita? Elizabeth Banks. Yeah. It's very much the same kind of school, but it's Rebecca Ferguson, and it's more out of place. But to be fair, Morgan Le Fay feels way more threatening, even though she probably accomplishes less in this one.
Yeah.
Because, man, they really make it feel like Armageddon is about to happen when she busts out her nonsense. And
when she finally shows up and really, really starts wrecking stuff.
I also just like that they tap in all the classic stuff, like the Lady of the Lake.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really interesting how they handle the Lady of the Lake in this one. I don't want to spoil that one too much. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. But, I mean, of course, at this point, there's an evil person who's trying to take over the world, so the final act probably has a skybeam or something like that. And, it's like end the world scenario.
Big battle, the usual.
Like, the movie does also kind of remind me of the third season of Buffy. Without giving too much away, but you know what I'm talking about there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. and in a good way, I want to say. And I was gonna say, if there's one thing I really like though, is that it quickly rejects certain parts of genre cliche while still embracing some of the other parts. And I think as a result, it does kind of do this interesting thing where it reminds you, look, this is why we celebrate these stories. These are the common tropes, and they're still good tropes. Yeah. But this one isn't necessary. Let's deconstruct this one. Make it say, you know what, that doesn't matter. Because it's outdated, and it's important to approach a modern audience with maybe a different tale. I don't want to give away too much about that, because that's kind of a major arc in the movie. But I think you know what I'm talking about, yeah?
Yeah, I got you.
That really got me. And there's enough comedy, there's enough heart, there's enough good action. It's a pretty good blend. Like I said, it's unfortunately probably the weakest part is Rebecca Ferguson, and it's through no fault of her performance. It's just
right.
They probably tried.
She had to be wacky.
Yeah. And, well, maybe a couple jokes were not my favorite, but I mean.
Yeah.
Plus, who the heck names a kid Betters?
Every time I heard it, it's like Butters. But I gotta say one thing, like you were talking about the tropes. One thing I absolutely loved was the fact that there were two characters that didn't get along, and really three, and they didn't put them together, and like everything was forgotten immediately.
Well, it's true, yeah. Like that's one of the other, because that's a really annoying trope. That's not even one people like, I think.
Right, it's not realistic at all. Even in an absurd situation.
And there's an interesting bit about the code of being a knight or a hero.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I guess I should bring that up because that's actually interesting.
Yeah.
And it does also kind of subvert a cliche in a way as a result.
Yeah.
I mean, you can debate the finer aspects of that, but it's a really interesting scene, I thought. I don't know. Do you have anything else you really want to add to this?
No. I would like to say I'm glad you suggested this. That's just one thing I wanted to note was Peter saw it before I did.
Yeah.
He suggested it, and I checked it out. I was like, wow, this is really a really good version, which is hilarious to me because this is another take on a long told story, especially in movies.
Oh yeah,
I mean, did so much of a better job than the previous version of it.
The only half decent Arthurian film I can think of off the top of my head is Camelot, and even then it's got a lot of problems.
Right.
I mean, it's still Richard Harris being awesome, but the problem is Richard Harris is also clearly drunk in some scenes. And the guy playing Lancelot is not great.
No, not at all.
And the songs from the musical Camelot that don't work in that movie, or in that play, really don't work in that movie.
No, not at all. No, but like I said, I'm disappointed seeing, like, looking at the box office and the budget and seeing just how, this is really going to be a flop, which is really unfortunate.
It's not a major flop, but for the love of God, people, if you're listening to this episode and we can do anything, convince you of anything, go see this movie, or get this movie, or Netflix it, or whatever you can do.
Yeah, I'm so hoping that it makes up enough on the back end when it goes on VOD and DVD and Blu-ray. Because it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's just, I'm so crushed that it's, I want Joe Cornish to get more work too, because he's only directed 2 movies, and they've both been really good.
Right.
I actually think I might like this more than Attack the Block. It's hard.
No.
And I mean, this one's fresher in my mind.
I think that's one of the things I always think about, like, is this because it's fresher in my mind or not?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I remember back in the day I was saying, I liked Into Darkness more than the Star Trek reboot, and now I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I still think I like some parts of that movie more than I think people give it credit for.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? No.
But now the comparison is like, what? Oh man, really? This is where I was at. This is where my mind was at back then.
Yeah. So the other movie we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Is a much anticipated sequel, which I think is actually a bit of a box office disappointment. Although I don't think it's fully been thrown worldwide. It's Lego Movie 2, the second part.
Yeah.
Because of course it has a joke like that in the title. I think I mentioned this before we started recording. It should have been called The Second Piece.
Yeah.
Or
like,
the second brick or something. I don't know.
Light bulb just went off. I was like, wow, that was so much better of a marketing idea.
I don't know. They could have done something more with this. So,
like I said, Wreck-It Ralph, and this, you had better marketing ideas than the people that actually did the marketing.
What did it say for Wreck-It Ralph? I can't remember. I whatever.
You say Ralph wrecks the internet.
That's the one.
Yeah, that was your tagline.
That's the one.
Like, why did they think of this?
So,
we're smarter than you people.
This is a sequel 5 years in the making to the Lego Movie, which came out in 2014, and was a shocking hit. Like, I don't think anyone expected it to be as good as it was.
Yeah, I mean, a Lego Movie. Like, why would you think it'd be that good?
I know, and it made almost $500 million, and it was directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, two of arguably the funniest guys in Hollywood right now. Because, I mean, they've got a pretty good track record. Because they did the 21 Jump Street film reboot.
Yeah.
And they were kind of involved with Cloudy with a Chance of... Or were they fully? No, they directed Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Okay.
But then they also were producers on Into the Spider-Verse.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
About that. Wow.
And the big thing was they were supposed to be directing Solo Star Wars story, but then things went very, very wrong.
Right.
Like, oh man, I still can't believe people are like, oh no, Disney didn't screw up on that. Yes, they did, majorly. There was a lot of problems with that movie, and part of it was the directing shift nonsense. I know they're doing another movie after this too. They've already got a new project they're going to be directing, so that'll be interesting. But in this case, they didn't direct Lego Movie 2. They were just producers. Yeah. The director was... Hang on, sorry. I had a bunch of tabs open, and now they're closing on me all of a sudden.
Mike Mitchell.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we know him from anything? Oh, God. Hey, James. I really should have looked at this beforehand, because he's got a couple of really good movies on here, and a couple terrible.
Oh, no!
Yeah. Are you looking at the same list I am?
What? Trolls? Deuce Bigelow?
Deuce Bigelow and Trolls.
Shrek Forever After.
Yeah.
The worst Shrek movie.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is actually much better than I thought it could have been considering the track record.
He's basically got two good movies on here, and Sky High, and then what am I saying? Trolls wasn't that good.
No, it wasn't. I was trying to figure out which one you were saying was the second one.
Well, it definitely wasn't Alvin and the Chipmunks Chimp-Wrecked.
Oh my god!
He did the live action sequences for SpongeBob, Sponge Out of Water.
Wow, I actually got tears right now. That is crazy.
We were. I don't think we were expecting this to be the movie directed by the director of Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Oh man, this is I actually have a newfound respect for this movie now.
Right? The fact that it turned out as decent as it did? Because I'm just going to say this right now. I did not like this movie as much as the first one by far.
Same here. I was going to roast this movie.
I wouldn't go as far as to roast this movie. I still think it's got enough heart and entertaining moments to it, but it definitely...
It definitely brings the laughs, but...
Yeah.
It's not as mature. Like, it's not self-aware. It's self-aware on a different level than the first one was.
Yep.
But it's almost like immature and self-aware.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. It's very kind of... I'm trying to think of a term that isn't going to sound offensive, because both terms I'm thinking of are medical conditions.
It's almost, for me, it's like that elbow, nod, wink kind of thing. Like, oh, you got it, you see what I did there kind of deal?
Yeah, but it's like the Monty Python one where, I forget the guy's name, Mr. Continental or something like that?
Okay.
Like the guy who always goes nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just a never-ending barrage of innuendo and insinuation, and it's like, slow down, you don't need to constantly do that, man. And it's like, look how clever we are. It's like, are you? I mean, which is a shame because so the plot of this movie is after the end of the previous movie, which saw the invasion. Small spoiler: the invasion of the Duplo.
Right.
The Lego universe is getting torn apart, and it's now basically I think they actually call it Apocalypseburg.
Yes.
Which is actually funny. So as a result, yeah, they're in this apocalyptic wasteland, and it's still got characters like Lucy, aka Wildstyle. I keep forgetting the main character's name. Isn't it Bennett?
Oh, yeah.
No, Emmett, sorry.
No, yeah, there you go, yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Benny.
That's what I was thinking of, too. I was looking at Benny. I was like, no, is this Benny? I was like, no, that doesn't make sense, though.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because Benny's the 1980s spaceman.
Yes, yeah.
Voiced by Charlie Day. Because a lot of the cast is back. Because we still got Chris Pratt as Emmett Brakowski. And then we get Elizabeth Banks as Lucy / Wildstyle. Will Arnett's still Lego Batman.
Yes, yes.
Who's still a delight as that, thank God. And then we get Charlie Day as Benny, the 1980s space guy. Alison Brie is still Unikitty.
Yes.
Who thankfully still isn't overplayed. But I do love the transformation Unikitty now undergoes in this movie. I don't know if you remember. Okay.
No,
you were selling for a second. I'm like, do you not remember that? I'm like, okay,
no, I
you do.
was thinking about what you said, and it just popped in my head. No, I was looking at the list too of people on the cast, and man, I mean, this is such a loaded cast.
Oh yeah, freaking Richard Ayoade's in it.
Yeah.
And of course, most of the DC characters from the first one are back.
Yes.
Because we got Channing Tatum as Superman, Jonah Hill's Green Lantern.
Yeah, Jonah Hill's Green Lantern. Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite always is President Business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pharaoh's so awesome. President Business.
Well, it used to be Lord Business. Now he's President Business.
Yes. It's switched now. So.
He really is a good voice actor. I mean.
Yes, he is.
I would say Megamind's a very underrated movie.
Yeah.
And like, say what you will about some of Will Ferrell's more recent live-action fare, or perhaps his live-action fare in general. If you want to be more cynical, he's great in this.
Yes, he is. He really is.
And yeah, so the whole thing is the Duplo are invading. Eventually, they kidnap a lot of the main characters. So Emmett has to go and rescue them, but he gets help from possibly the best character in the movie, Mr. Okay, I want to make sure I get the name right because I've said it wrong before. Rex Dangervest.
Yes.
I think I called him something else before. So Rex Dangervest is basically an amalgamation of Chris Pratt's other characters. He's arguably one of the best jokes in the movie, and definitely one of the most interesting characters in the movie. Because yeah, it's like he's like
Star-Lord, Indiana Jones,
yeah.
the Terminator.
Well, yeah, because I mean, most obviously he's got the Jurassic World character. I don't remember his name from those. I think it's Owen something.
Yeah, I cannot remember to save my life. Not a bit.
But he's most primarily that and Star-Lord, and then you can even see elements of frickin' Burt Macklin from Parks and Rec. And I think there was a cowboy joke in there at some point for Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
Which I really don't want to get into that. And of course there were some Indiana Jones jokes, which are they actually going to make him play Indiana Jones? Because I know they keep talking about that.
That was a rumor. At one point.
Yeah. And there's another joke which had some references I really appreciated, which I'm sad I can't repeat because it's kind of a spoiler.
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm talking
about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like I said, you kind of want to roast this movie just because the plot ultimately isn't as clever as the first one, in part because they really burned a really good plot twist in the first one.
Yeah, that was the thing. It's like, how do you put the genie back in the bottle kind of situation.
And it becomes way more obvious now that you know that already to know where the twist is going with the second one.
Right.
Because they're not as subtle. And as a result, it's kind of disappointing. And the most interesting thing as a result is the character of Rex and his involvement in the plot, because it's definitely something you wouldn't have seen coming.
Right.
And it's trying to think of what it's almost kind of Toy Story-ian, which I'm saying complimentarily. Like, it doesn't, I wouldn't say it's as strong as a Toy Story plot. Like for example, this thing's got still crazy critical praise, and I'm like, I don't know if it should be that high.
Yeah, it's almost one of those things like the first one was so good, like we have to praise the second one kind of deal.
Yeah, well, it's like you don't want to piss off fans to a degree or whatever, and it's
not bad enough to just skewer.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as the first one, so we're not gonna give it that low of a grade.
Plus, critics I think are always kinder to animation in general.
That's
because
true.
In part because animation's arguably harder than real filmmaking. I say real in quotations, of course, because I consider animation real filmmaking all the same. I really should have said quote before I started saying real filmmaking.
Quote real.
Yeah. I did it with my fingers, but of course no one can see me.
Yeah, no one can see.
Unless you're the first viewer of the video version of the podcast that actually has webcam footage. Maybe someday. Then I'll have to wear an appropriate shirt.
Yeah.
And won't be able to eat a muffin slyly.
Yeah, okay, do it in the summer.
That's the thing. I don't know, do you have anything else you really want to rip into about this movie? Because I don't know if I got...
Like I said, my thing was just the fact it just felt underwhelming compared to the first one in a lot of ways, but now, after seeing who directed it, I have a newfound appreciation for the movie.
Oh, no. It's easily his best or second best movie.
Yeah.
Depending on how you feel about Sky High.
Yeah, no, it's his best.
No, you liked it better than Sky High, okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, this is funny because we've never had this happen before. In all of our episodes, we've never had this happen before.
You never suddenly turned around when you found out who the director is?
Yeah.
That's true. We really should...
Not on this podcast. We've never had that happen.
Yeah. We really should have done more... Well, actually, maybe it's better we didn't do more research.
No, we got such a genuine reaction from it.
Yeah, because it's like, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. We should mention some of the new cast, though.
Okay, yeah.
Because Nick Offerman wasn't in the first one, was he?
No.
Yeah, because he's the only new character that's kind of with the good guys. Because he gets kidnapped early on, a lot of the other ones. Metalbeard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's this weird...
He's a robot pirate.
Robot, thank you. Yeah, it's he's a robot man, but I'm like, wasn't he something else?
No, he's a pirate. He's a robot pirate.
Yeah. And then we also got...
Two of the best things ever.
Yeah. And then we also got, what is it? The, Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah. It's Queen whatever.
It was some fancy Avatar-sounding name.
Yeah.
I'm talking about James Cameron's Avatar. Not the far superior Last Airbender. Shade tossed. And then Stephanie Beatrice, she was General Sweet Mayhem.
Yeah, I loved her. She was so great. I love Stephanie anyway, so
she's
anything, I love it.
She's fantastic. I know we always get the best of TV in these movies.
I know.
Because Will Arnett and Elizabeth Banks don't really do TV at the moment. Tiffany Haddish doesn't really either. But I mean, Chris Pratt. Okay, supporting cast. Some of the best of TV. Because we got Stephanie Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We got Charlie Day from Sunny. We got Alison Brie. Glow. No, she's doing Glow.
Yeah, she's doing Glow. I was about to say she's got at least one.
Yeah, and Maya Rudolph. Good Place.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Rashid Arawarda, he mostly directs, but he does still do a lot of British panel shows, so I'm counting it.
Okay.
Cool. And so on. Oh, and that reminds me. I do appreciate because Disney, of course, has a lot of Lego, but because they focus so much on DC characters in the Lego movie, they flat out made a joke in the movie. It was like, well, Marvel's not returning our calls.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that joke as a kind of a meta reference on why we don't see Lego Iron Man and stuff, because that was the whole thing.
Exactly.
There's a whole video game franchise about Lego Marvel characters.
Yes.
You could even play as Stan Lee. Rest in peace. I thought that was a good thing to say at the end because I think we're wrapping up.
Yeah. I had to pull one of your songs and put the hand over my heart that time, but of course no one can see it.
Yeah. Well, I pointed up at the sky.
We both had our moments, and of course no one can see it though.
Yeah, but I was still talking as I did it. The problem is that you stopped talking. I'm waiting for you to say something.
Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Much like this
Excelsior, my
film
friend.
deconstructs film in a not terribly subtle way, we are now deconstructing what just happened in our own podcast. Good times.
Oh, that's great, though.
Yeah, so, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're still probably going to enjoy this if you enjoyed the first one.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm enjoying it a lot more.
Like I said, it's just, man, I really feel like we kind of came off a little more cynical this one. I think it's just because we waited so long for Kingdom Hearts 3, and we had such a high bar for the second Lego movie. I think
the stuff we expected to be absolutely great was just okay or good.
Yeah.
And the thing we didn't expect to be anything actually turned to be really good.
It's now making me think of that joke from Hot Shots. I think part 2. It's like, what are you reading? Great Expectations? How is it? It's not everything I hoped for. Solid literary joke.
Yeah.
Well, I think in that case we'll call it for now. Should I actually tease the next episode for once? Because we actually know well in advance what it's going to be.
Yeah. We got battles and heavens and gods and a whole bunch of good little stuff.
Absolutely. No, I'd say until next time.